Uh, Yes, sir. So, how are we doing here? There we go, Commissioner Hess. Hello and welcome. I would like to call this official business meeting of the Kalamazoo City Commission to order for Monday, February 7th, 2022. Clerk Moss, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Decker.
Present.
Commissioner Hess. Present. Commissioner Hoffman.
Present.
Commissioner Juarez.
Present.
Commissioner Pradel.
Present.
Vice Mayor Cooney.
Present.
Mayor Anderson.
Here. Thank you, Clerk Moss. I appreciate that very much. So just a little reminder here before we start our opening ceremony is that, first of all, I do want to thank everybody who is attending this evening. I know that we have a hybrid going on, so we have people attending online, and I want to say thank you to you for paying attention here. If you are here in City Hall, I'd like to remind you that masks must be worn in City Hall and the City Commission chambers, regardless of vaccination status. Masks may be removed when addressing the City Commission, but should otherwise be worn to cover the mouth and nose. In addition, attendees should take note of the reserved seat signs that are in place to create a social distancing situation. Your cooperation and compliance with these rules is much appreciated. So we are honored tonight for our opening ceremony to have Pastor Kenny Bryant from the Kalamazoo Community Church to provide our invocation. Please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father and our God, we want to start out this meeting by saying thank you. Thank you for the wonderful city of Kalamazoo. It is such a blessing that you have given to us, but you've also given it to us to manage and to manage well. So I pray for these that are before me this evening. Father, might they be able to make decisions with compassion and grace, but with conviction and boldness. Above all, Father, might they have your wisdom as they seek the best for this wonderful city. We ask these things in reverence of your name, our God and our Father. Amen.
Commissioners, we are now ready to adopt the formal agenda that you have in front of you. Are there any changes that you would like to see in tonight's agenda? Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I would like to move item F17 to the regular agenda.
I'm sorry, what number? You want to move an item from the consent agenda to regular, correct?
Correct. F17. Am I looking at the wrong one?
So it's,
Oh, it must be labeled incorrectly on here.
yeah, there's not 17 on the consent.
Yeah, it's mislabeled on the agenda report, so on the agenda itself, it's G8.
Okay, thank you. G8. Thank you, City Manager.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so we're moving G8 from the consent agenda to the regular agenda. Anything else, Commissioners? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to request an item be moved from the consent agenda to the regular agenda? Seeing no one, then our slightly modified agenda is in place here. Next is communications. Are there any communications, Manager Ritzma?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to announce a city commission, city administration retreat, which is going to be held on Saturday, February 19th, from 8:30 to 3:30 p.m. at the Foundry at 600 East Michigan Avenue. And given the location and the logistics there, we will not be able to have call-in public comment. So it'll be only in-person public comment. So look forward to that time with the commission on February the 19th. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma. So in-person only, retreat on Saturday the 19th. Next on our agenda is an opportunity for public comments. So we certainly will provide that opportunity here in the chambers, but speakers will each have 3 minutes for their comments. We'll start with in-person speakers, and then we'll go to any call-in speakers. People who want to offer comments via phone should call 888-382-9556 starting now through the end of the public comment period. Now, I can see someone's coming up. If there's anyone in the audience wanting to address the City Commission, please come to the podium, state your name, and whether you live in the city. Thank you.
Oh, 907. 911. What's the location of your emergency?
241 South Street, City Hall.
241 South Street at City Hall.
Yes.
What's going on there?
We have a young man here that's refusing to do program. He's went upstairs without permission and everything. Ben Stanley.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Are you guys at West South Street?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, he said he's upstairs without permission. Is that like an employee-only area?
Yeah, and he's not. He refused to put a mask on in the meeting, and the commissioners asked me to call the police.
Okay. Give me 1 second here. Do you know if this person has been trespassed from the property before?
They're working on it.
Okay.
They're working on it. And then a laugh. A couple days later, Jim Ritzma wrote a policy that's, 4 or 5 pages? In the first page, it says trespass, and then it says service animals, and then it goes on to define a bunch of different things. I wonder who that was addressed to. I wonder who that policy was written for. How many other people use a service animal that come to City Hall? That was an FFE board meeting, public board meeting. He told them that I refused to sign in. I did actually sign in, which is a rare thing for me. Normally I don't. I didn't sign in over there. I didn't say my name today. That's more my style because you don't have to. And I like to give people the opportunity to not do things that they don't have to do. So they called the police on me to have me arrested. I found a lawyer that will do this one for free. He's excited about it. Before the very first meeting, I came up here. I see you guys have the signs now that say no people past this point. That's fine, I don't care. But what was I talking about? What was I talking about? People being allowed to come to the second floor. Do you remember that? And then Mr. Ritzma said, we're not even 2 minutes in and somebody's already making a big deal. Yes, I'm making a big deal that the public have to be allowed to participate in a $500 million anonymous donation. The FFE is deciding how to spend that. Is that the largest donation made to a municipality in the history of something? Like, come on.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hi, I'm Ann Martinez, and I am here in regards to city workers not doing their jobs. I have some pictures of things, of The building that is next to me that's on my property is 10 inches from my garage, and I have the picture of the damage it's causing to my garage. I'm not getting an answer on anything, and the gentleman that's trying to buy the building is actually, he's a slumlord. He has no moral compass. Here's the stack of the 13 properties this man owns. None are listed as a rental. I have went to the housing and spoke with them. They took a copy of this, but nobody's ever received one. He is getting away with not paying anything to the city, which is probably a big chunk of money. And now you want me to let that man that doesn't have no moral character, doesn't obey any of the commissions, the codes, enforcements like that. He has gone in that building and he had permission to do a re-roof, but he also changed the pitch of the roof, which isn't something they can do. And he put in for residential siding on a commercial building. He has the only 2 permits that he has put on an outside light on the building, done all of his electrical wiring himself. He has demolished the inside of the building, and you're supposed to have a permit for that. And now he put a vent pipe through the roof. And nobody is doing anything about this gentleman. And I'm just supposed to sit back and let him take over this building when he doesn't care at all if he's following any orders of any kind. He had a stop work order put on the door, and he still continued to work for at least a week later until I kept complaining. And I don't know what to do. I'm really not happy about this man that's going to take over the building and doesn't care what he does. And it, like I said, is destroying my garage. And I do have pictures if anybody wants to see. And this does show. I don't know if you want to pass them around. This does show.
Ms. Martinez, did you want to drop off some copies for us?
Could you leave it with the clerk?
Jacob, pass them. Thank you very much for coming here this evening. I'm sure that if there's someone available from housing, that they can connect with you after this. Thank you so much. Yes, next, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Marcus Johnson. I'm here about a complaint I put in. Make a long story short, April 14th, 2020, I was arrested, charged with resisting and obstructing assault on 2 officers. My dogs was took from me. I never got them back. When I get out of jail, people in the neighborhood videotaped it, gave me the videotape. I wrote a complaint. Chief of police, I exonerated the officers. I appealed it. It went before the city board. They sustained my complaint, sent it to city manager Richmond. He went with the sustain. The next day, he come back with another Oh, no, that's not what I meant. They didn't find anything, ooh, this and that. So I've been asking for the notes of the city board of what they made, because I still got the paper saying sustained. I still don't have my dogs. It took 2 years. It took 2 years me fighting to get this, and then it now just got dismissed about maybe a month ago. 2 years, man. I'm legitimately diagnosed with PTSD with the police. I didn't do nothing wrong. It's on video, body cam, police playing about taking my dogs before I even pulled up on the scene. And then when I pulled up on the scene, one of the officers, oh, here we go. When I pulled up, that's the very first thing that came out of my mouth. Oh, here we go. What do that mean? Because you had numerous run-ins with me because I've been down at the city bus station right before the pandemic, and they was having the fights, and they was always down there. You see what I'm saying? So when you see me pull up in my car, y'all knew who I was. And I talked to you, Mayor, about this incident numerous times, man. And that's why I feel like the city, man, been playing games, man. Been playing games because you, man, you obviously you didn't read the complaint or nothing, you just signed off on it. And then somebody must have came to you and said, why you do that? Or something, because you came back and wrote another one. Oh, that's not what I meant. But obviously, the city board meant that. You know what I mean? And I still had to fight it for 2 years. I missed all type of money. I'm trying to build this boxing gym on the north side. I got another business. All type of stuff happened because of this, man. And y'all couldn't step in knowing that your officers was wrong, man. Knowing your officers was wrong. Or you didn't take the time out to even look at it. Didn't even take the time out to even look at it. That's all I got to say, man.
Thank you. Next, please.
Commission, I'll be brief. So I can't sign in because some folks don't really seem to care about safety, and we don't seem to care about enforcing the rules that we have about the safety. So my name is Bill Reeves. Everybody here knows me, which I see you guys say that you can't quite hear me, which is part of also why I'm here. I have mentioned this numerous times. I've called, I've talked to city staff. I can't get one person to do anything about the audio here or online. So that's been a mess. I can't get calls back about street safety at a couple of intersections. I know each and every one of you. You guys know me. Most of you, I have your phone numbers. I could call and be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to have to come here to say, hey, can I get staff to give me a call back? But this is where we're at after a few months of the same thing. So if you could, city manager, have somebody give me a call. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Megan Kaiser, and I'm here on behalf of Bell's Brewery. Thank you for letting me comment. Bell's does not support the proposed changes to the wastewater billing, specifically changing the billing cycle to a 2-year annual average fixed monthly billing. The 2-year annual average billing cycle creates a business risk, disincentivizes investment in business-owned wastewater treatment, and is an obstacle to Bell's and the City of Kalamazoo's efforts to combat climate change. At Bell's Brewery, our wastewater surcharges correlate to the production volume. Therefore, costs are incurred at the similar time as revenues generated by the sale of our beers. Bell's would prefer to pay for those services rendered by the city at the time they are delivered. This change creates a potential scenario wherein Bell's is experience a reduced revenue, but instead of corresponding reductions in cost, Bell's continues to pay a higher wastewater surcharge that's reflective of the historical utilization of the wastewater treatment plant. This creates a risk to Bell's business and that outweighs the benefits of the budgetary certainty created by the 2-year annual average fixed monthly billing. Bell's second concern with the proposed billing structure is that it disincentivizes businesses from investing in on-site wastewater treatment. With delayed billing, users of The POTW will not realize savings for a full 2 years after the process or equipment improvements. Bells and other businesses would have to carry the fiscal overhead of a capital project for 2 years before recognizing the full benefit. In 2014, Bell's Brewery invested over $6 million in its own anaerobic wastewater treatment facility in order to leverage the opportunity to produce on-site renewable energy from our wastewater and reduce surcharges. The project had a forecasted return on investment of 7 years and required considerable deliberation before approval. Had that payback period been extended to 9, by the nature of the proposed billing structure, it's extremely unlikely to have been approved. And lastly, that brings us to our third and final concern regarding the billing structure, is climate impacts. So Bells has set a very aggressive target for reduction in our greenhouse gas emissions from our operations. At Bells, our wastewater composition is suitable for anaerobic wastewater treatment. This allows us to make wastewater treatment in an energy net positive process. That's to say, we make more renewable energy from that process than what the process consumes. Given the different and difficult composition of the wastewater that the city receives, it uses an aerobic process, which is extremely energy consumptive. By pre-treating our wastewater at Bells, not only
I'm sorry, your 3 minutes are up. Do you have a printed copy of that you could leave with the clerk? Thank you so much. Next, please.
Sir, city resident. So I listened to the comments from the in-person public. I heard one person say that they're not getting a response from city staff. I also heard another person talking about housing issues. I would like the public to know that if you come down here to City Hall, the heads of many of the city departments are here. For example, in the audience tonight, our Public Service Director, Jim Baker. You talked to him about streets issues. Community Planning and Development Director, Rebecca Kick. She's in the back left of the room tonight for that citizen. You talked to her about the housing issues. Public Safety Chief Vern Coakley is also here tonight. Sometimes you'll have the human resources person here, or the head of finance, information technology. So if citizens are having issues with the executive branch of our city, which is headed by Manager Ritzma, having problems getting a response, please come down to City Hall on the first and third Mondays of every month at, get here a little bit early, 6:30 or something. They're usually here before the meeting, if you can talk to them, or after the meeting. If you find me, I'll gladly introduce you, tell me what your issue is, and I'll gladly introduce you to the city staff member who is present. So, I do enjoy listening to the public comments. I've been watching these meetings in person since October 1, 2012. I'm coming up on a decade now of attending meetings in person and participating, and I don't just like to hoard information. I do like to share what I know with the public, and so come on down. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to speak here this evening? Yes.
Hi, how are you? Thank you. My name is John. I am a citizen here as well. I was coming here actually to ask for your help. I'm a business owner in the Vine District. We've had a large surge in just criminal activity in general in the area. Shootings, thefts, my staff is getting scared coming to work, cars are getting broken into. I've had money stolen out of the cafe that I have, that these are tips for the staff here. And I've really hit a brick wall trying to deal with the police and with the sheriff, and I just continue to get pushed around. And this here is now the 5th or 6th place that I've been recommended to try to contact somebody to give a plea for help and ask for somebody to take some of these matters seriously. It feels as though these things are getting much more serious on a escalating basis. Just yesterday, again, I had my life threatened by somebody who's there that is causing problems that we've tried to contact the police for, and I just really feel like it isn't going anywhere ultimately. They tell me that they can't arrest people. Sometimes I don't even know if arresting people is the right place for it to go, but ultimately I know that isn't something that I'm able to help with. I don't have the resources that all of you would, but I do know that it's only going to be a matter of time before someone is very, very seriously hurt out there. It's really starting to impact the businesses as well. You can tell that people don't want to go there because it's just being, neglected. I just recently contacted the police about 4 kids that had broken into cars in the parking lot, and from my understanding, they didn't even fill out a police report after they went and talked to one of the people that was certainly involved with this. It's really becoming challenging to not only operate a business, but just to show up there and feel safe to go to the place that I'm, trying to contribute to the community. If there's anything that anybody here could do, if there's somebody that I could speak to, I'm willing to do anything that I can on my end to help out, but ultimately, I'm just there serving breakfast and coffee and just trying to make for a pleasant place in the community, not to go out into the streets and try to, create peace. But I do want to try to find some sort of workable solution. So I really came here to ask for your help to see if there's anything that anybody could do to help me, because it is really getting very, very tough.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Probably this is your first time talking here. If you want to make sure you do sign in or leave your name and contact information as well, so people can follow up with you. And I know the chief is in the back of the room as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience?
Don't start my time yet. I haven't even started talking yet. My name is Gwendolyn Hooker. Hello, Mayor Anderson, Vice Mayor Cooney, and commissioners. My name is Gwendolyn Hooker, and I am the CEO of Helping Other People Hope Through Navigation. We are doing the Tiny Houses of Hope pilot project in partnership with the Northside Association for Community Development. And I just wanted to come and really give my gratitude and appreciation. I know that this has been a long road. The pandemic has made it even longer. And we're very, very excited to get this project up and running and to serve one of the marginalized populations in our community. So I respectfully hope that we can get your blessing and your votes this evening so that we can proceed with this much needed project for the citizens of our city. And also just putting it out there, I am on the board of directors for the Vine Neighborhood Association. So if anybody would like to speak with me specifically about some of the things that are going on in the neighborhood, I'm happy to provide our meeting dates in our Community Cares meeting when we talk about these very issues. Thank you so very much. You all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much. Anyone else who's here this evening? Seeing no one, Deputy City Manager Chamberlain, has anyone called in?
We'll go ahead and check, and we'll start that right away. Go ahead, you're on the line, 0176. Okay, they just hung up. We do have a slight delay with YouTube and Facebook, so we'll wait a few seconds to see if anybody else is here. We do not have any other callers, Mayor.
Thank you, DCM Chamberlain, and I appreciate that. Next this evening is our consent agenda. City Manager Ritzma.
Thank you, Mayor. We have the following items presented for approval this evening. First is the approval of a contract supplemental and change order with Cornerstone Construction for the Farmers Market Improvement Project in the amount of $170,351, bringing the new total of the contract to $4,084,732.60. Next is the approval of a contract with the Michigan Department of Transportation for the Stadium Drive project in the amount of $2,854,723.70. Next is the approval of a professional services agreement with OHM Advisors for design engineering services for the Westnedge Avenue Improvements Project in the amount of $388,500. Next is the approval of a contract extension with Premier Lawn and Snow for the 2022 property maintenance of Riverside and Mountain Home Cemeteries in the amount of $259,900. Next is the approval of a professional services agreement with Whiteman and Associates Incorporated for design engineering services for the Whites Road Improvements Project in the amount of $253,000. Next is the approval of a professional service agreement with Prine and Newhoff for professional design engineering services related to the Big Rock Water Main Extension in the amount of $105,000. Next is the approval of a one-year contract extension with PVS Technologies for the purchase of ferric chloride in the amount of $102,750. Next is the acceptance of the 2021 Bulletproof Vest Grant Award in the amount of $32,303.75 from the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs. Next is the adoption of resolutions from the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, Liquor Control Commission, recommending approval of an on-premises tasting room permit and off-premises tasting room license for Saugatuck Brewing Company to be located at 200 East Michigan Avenue. Next is the first reading of an ordinance to amend certain sections of Chapter 38 of the Kalamazoo Code to change the rates charged for drinking water. Next is the first reading of an ordinance to amend certain sections of Chapter 28 of the Kalamazoo Code to change the rates charged for wastewater. Next is the approval of the mayor's appointments to the Historic Preservation Commission, the appointment of Patrick Vale for a term expiring on March 31, 2025, and the appointment of Ryan Walker for a term expiring on March 31, 2025, and finally approval and acceptance of easements with Hidden Lake Real Estate LLC for the water main installed as part of the Hidden Lake No. 6 project and for the future ranch at Hidden Lake project.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma. Commissioners, the requested action is a motion to approve items 1 through 7 and 9 through 14 and authorize the city manager to sign all documents on behalf of the city. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hess.
Support.
Supported by Vice Mayor Cooney. Clerk Moss, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hess,
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Yes.
Commissioner Juarez,
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooney,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Items on the consent agenda are approved. Next, our regular agenda. Manager Ritzma.
Item G8 is approval of a grant agreement between the City of Kalamazoo and the Northside Association for Community Development for the Tiny Houses of Hope project in the amount of $100,000.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma. Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. Is Director Kick with us still today? Hello. First off, I want to say I do think this is a great idea. This is awesome, being able to build the tiny homes for people that need them. I did have a couple of questions, though, regarding this. So we're going to be doing this with the NACD. And I'm wondering, because I've had this question before, is this something that is just specific for nonprofits? Or will individual homeowners be able to do something like this? So if someone bought a parcel of land, would they be able to put a tiny home on that?
let me try to take, the two questions. So the first question is, this particular grant is specifically for Northside Association to help Hope Through Navigation do their tiny homes. So yes, so that's one thing, and I can address with you how we do those grants. Then the other question is, can you put a tiny house, can anybody put a tiny house on a lot? And it does depend on your zoning district, but if you have a primary residence, many times it's called an accessory dwelling unit, and that unit can be either above a garage, or you could do a standalone, like a tiny house, in a portion of your yard. And yes, those are legal throughout the city.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Let's see, what would be my next one? So I see within the grant contract also that, they've got the affordability of 10 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
Affordability study. And that we will review it every 2 years. Or every 2 years or every 3 years?
I believe we do every 2 years based on, we basically adopted the same rules that we use for our HUD monitoring. And so we would request the income verification every 2 years.
Okay. I thought I saw 3. Is that item H?
Once every 3 years. You're correct.
Okay.
Under H.
I think, again, this is a great idea, and I definitely support it, but I feel that if we're really going to monitor the affordability of an area of tiny homes, and possibly this moving forward, having the Hope Network being able to do more of these in the future, maybe monitoring that more frequently than the 3 years. If they're only going to keep information for, do the affordability for the 10 years, I think I'd want 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years versus 3, 6, 9, and then get to that 12th year and not really get that data. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up and get your thoughts on that.
I'm happy to review or consider anything that the commission considers as a recommendation. Of course, I would love to discuss this with my grantee, who happens to be behind me, of course, to make sure that that makes sense for them and that they have the capacity to be able to do that reporting every year.
Well, it would be every 2 years.
Or
So,
every 2 years.
Every 2 years, yes. Okay, well, City Manager, I do have a question. Thank you, Director Kick.
Yeah,
I appreciate
absolutely.
that. Would this need to be amended before it is approved, or how does that work?
Amended for the
We
2
had to
years?
change if that worked within the Hope Network's spectrum of being able to get information every 2 years versus every 3 years. Is that something that we could move forward with today and just have that amended at a later date?
I'll turn that over to our city attorney, Clyde Robinson.
I want to make sure I'm understanding the nature of the request. Is it to asking for an amendment in the agreement?
Yes, so on item H, instead of monitoring every 3 years, if they have the capacity.
If it's an amendment to the agreement, then both parties have to agree to that amendment.
Agree?
So
Okay.
you could not, if this is something you want to do tonight, you'd ask Director Kick to take it back and get the acquiescence of the other party to the agreement.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't want to do that. So Director Kick, in your opinion, do you think that we would be able to get good numbers and good information if it was based on 3 years?
I do, because the reason we were doing this agreement to begin with is Hope Through Navigation works specifically with reentry populations, and we know that the folks that are going to be utilizing these housing services are likely 30% and under AMI, particularly when they start, and I'm happy to have Ms. Hooker come up if she would like to talk further about the population that she plans on serving, if that would help as well.
I would appreciate that. Thank you, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello, Ms. Hooker, thank you.
So I'm not clear what the question is, but this, and I know you're new on the board, so you probably don't have the full picture of how long we've been doing this project, but the whole project is really specifically for people with criminal backgrounds and/or substance use disorder history. It is a very specific demographic. It's always been a very specific demographic, and that demographic is notoriously marginalized, as well as underserved, as well as having a very limited income because of the jobs that they are able to get. So whether or not, this project was always about affordability. It was about affordability and getting zoning put in place in an area that is now called the Northside Cultural Business District. And all of these things were intentional. We intentionally set out to do the things that we did, always thinking that this was a population that was low income, that was definitely not able to meet the affordability issues throughout the city, which is why we specifically wanted to have a tiny home community that was specifically for them, which the public housing ordinance basically sets aside them and makes them a protected class, so that we can only allow people with criminal backgrounds and/or substance use disorder history in these tiny houses that only have very, very specific income. So whether or not it's reporting, as people like to say, it was never about whether or not we were going to do that. We were always going to do that. We were going to do that regardless of whether it was a request or not. We actually put that in place because we know throughout the United States, tiny homes are very expensive to buy or to rent. And so we really wanted to give the opportunity for people with low income, with that criminal background and substance use disorder history, the opportunity to be first in line instead of last in line, and to be able to have nice, affordable homes that that they would be able to maintain and or buy at some point if that's what they wanted to do. And I'm sure everyone remembers that this project was really, very closely modeled in a lot of regards with the tiny house project in Detroit. So we didn't just come up with an ideal and say this is what we were going to do. We actually went, Maddie and I, the director of NACD, went to various places in Michigan and other places to make sure that we had a really good baseline to work from. So we definitely appreciate the questions. I know folks are really kind of new and not knowing exactly how long we've been working on this project, but it's a well thought out, well researched project. And like I said, with the pandemic, we are definitely behind the 8 ball, but are really ready to get underway. I think that changing the contract at this late in the game would be really an overreach at this point, because we are ready to begin construction. And I think that the reporting, we will do what we signed to do, which was to report every 3 years for 10 years. And we are happy to do that as we agreed. But I think anything other than that is really not in the capacity or scope of our ability to do at this point.
Ms. Hooker, thank you so much for that background. I do appreciate that.
Was there any other questions? Awesome, thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Any other thoughts about that?
No, Mayor, thank you.
All right. So at this point, our regular agenda now includes this item, which is, and I'll read it once again, approval of a grant agreement between the City of Kalamazoo and the Northside Association for Community Development for the Tiny Houses of Hope project in the amount of $100,000. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Made by Commissioner Hoffman,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Hess. Any discussion? Commissioner Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor, for giving me an opportunity. I just want to say when we're talking about putting in new, when a developer brings, and what we have with NACD and Hope Through Navigation is a brand new developer, which happens to be a nonprofit, which is wonderful for our community. we need to make sure that there's consistency when we're asking big developers how they report and do things as well. So I want to make sure that there is consistency throughout. What you all are doing on the north side is not only necessary, we need it. Families have been suffering, individuals have been suffering for years. And so when we talk about barrier removal, this is exactly what this is going to do for so many valuable and worthy people who need housing and have a right to it. So kudos to you all, and I'm so glad, and I hope that the rest of my commissioners will vote yes for this.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. Any other discussion, Commissioner Juarez?
Yeah, how many tiny homes are you going to build?
Maybe I should just stay up here for a minute, but, so the phase 1 is 3 tiny houses with a wraparound building on site, and then across the street is 3 more tiny houses with another wraparound building on site. So all total, the Tiny Houses of Hope project is a 6-home project.
What's a wraparound building?
The wraparound building is what Hope Through Navigation is known for, which is providing full-service wraparound services to the population that we serve. So making sure that we're not just only housing people, but we're making sure that they, that they have budgeting information, that they have entrepreneurial trainings, which we know NACD does a fabulous job with, making sure that they, if they want to go back to school, making sure that they have their basic needs met, they have all of the paperwork that they need. Basically, anything that they need would be considered a holistic wraparound service that Hope Through Navigation provides on site.
I just want to mention that that is super important. Helping individuals get to a place of sustainability, not just giving them an opportunity, but helping them understand different life skills, entrepreneur skills, giving them the opportunity, financial literacy, like that. I hope that that is an example for us. I hope that you guys succeed and are able to build more.
That is absolutely the goal, and we are definitely hoping that as well.
Welcome,
Good
Matt
evening.
Jordan. Yes.
Maddie Jordan Woods from the Northside Association for Community Development. But I just want to be really clear. The $100,000 is for 3 houses that is being done on the corner of North and Westnedge. So that is not going to help with 6 houses. So I'm just so that there isn't any confusion. And also that, and I think Commissioner Hoffman hit it on the head, is that there is a consistency of when grants are given and about asking to do reporting, that if everyone who is given any grant money in the city, that they are asked to do reporting at the same time. We are we are a small but old organization, but I believe that we should be equitable, and that if there is going to be a change in reportings, that it be done across the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie. Any other discussion? Vice Mayor Cooney.
I just want to thank you both for your perseverance. This was a tough fight, and you've stuck with it for years, and this is a wonderful service to the community. So I want to honor you and thank you for what you've done.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Cooney. Any other discussion? Commissioner Hess.
I'd like to echo that, Vice Mayor Cooney. And as we talked about housing in the Committee of the Whole, this is yet another creative solution that we have to these issues. And I would encourage us all to think outside the box when thinking about housing and a roof over one's head. So I think we can all do this together. We've got this, Kalamazoo.
Thank you, Commissioner Hess. Commissioner Juarez.
I'm sorry. So I think you're right, Vice Mayor Cooney. But I think what would be more honorable to honor them is to figure out how to get them that other $100,000 for those other 3 houses. And I think we can do that somehow. So, commissioners, I would suggest that we think about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Juarez. Anyone else? All right, just, I want to say that I've been watching this project for a while here. I'm very, very happy that we're at this point, very excited about that. Gwendolyn Hooker, without your persistence and your passion, we would not be here. You've hung with it. And Matty Jordan Woods and NACD stepping in to help be fiduciary and help this project happen. Kudos to you for that. So thank you very much. Clerk Moss, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Yes.
Commissioner Juarez,
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooney,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Decker,
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. Next are reports and legislation. City Manager Ritzma, do you have a report?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to call forward our Parks and Recreation Director, Sean Fletcher. I don't know that he was expecting this, but this will be Sean's last meeting with the City of Kalamazoo, and he's taken a position over on the east side for the City of Dearborn, and I just wanted to thank Sean for his, almost 10 years of service?
9, yeah.
9 to the City of Kalamazoo, and appreciate all of your leadership and the work you've done excelling our Parks and Recreation system and programs, and your passion is definitely going to be missed. So all the best to you in your future endeavor.
Do I get a minute?
Sure.
I'll keep it
3.
I'll keep it brief because I may not be able to hold it together, but I've spent about 16 years in this city going to college and working here, and it'll always have a special place in my heart. I left Canton because I was not going to be director there, and I got the opportunity to do that work here, and I'm so thankful that I came here. I went to school here, so it was easy to come here. I knew the town, knew my way around, and it's been a great 9 years. I have to thank, I have a great team of people. Our deputy director is in the audience. I give them credit all the time because they make me look good. I do work and have some good ideas like the Winter Ice Golf Classic, but they make it happen. And it's great to have ideas, but when you have that team of people that can just take it and run with it and make it happen, it's awesome. I am so lucky that I get to go be closer to my daughter. In that regard, it was easy to make the decision. The decision to leave was not easy because I love this town and I love being director here, and it will always be a source of pride for me. And I just thank you for the opportunity, and now I'm going to go because I'm starting to lose it.
Thank you, Director Fletcher.
That's it for my report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma. Thank you very much, Director Fletcher. We are sorry to see you leave. We wish you the best. Think of us fondly, and if you happen to have any good team members that want to move to the west side of the state, remind them that Kalamazoo is a great place to work. We are now at the point on our agenda where it's an opportunity for commissioner comments. Now, just before we get started on that, I want to remind everyone and us that we do have a closed session tonight. So that will come after our comments. We will have to make a motion to go into closed session, and when we will not be coming out of closed session and back into open session. So we'll be adjourning when we go into closed session. Is that accurate?
I think we would come back for action.
All right, that's not what my agenda says, but I know what it is, but so is that inaccurate on the agenda? That it says we will not be coming back?
We are coming back, Your Honor.
We are going to come back. Okay, then. I stand corrected. We will be coming, but we don't always. In this particular circumstance, I guess we'll be coming back, so we won't be adjourning the meeting. We'll go into closed session. We'll come back out of closed session, and whatever decisions we make have to be done in public, so that will occur in open session. Commissioner Juarez.
Yes, thank you. I think one of the things I want the public to know, and those viewing on Facebook and on YouTube, the business we do here on the dais seems to be looked as business as usual, which we know that at the end of the day, we have an obligation to see these things transpire and happen. But what I want to rest assure the community, and what I want them to understand, that this is a working commission. The work that's being done behind closed doors about gun violence, about youth development, about things that are, housing, that work's getting done in a way where sometimes the public doesn't see that until it starts to transpire and happen. And so what I want to do is encourage our city to continue to have faith in us. When I hear Stephanie Hoffman say this all the time, we have a responsibility to the people who voted us in. And rest assured that that's our heart. And I know that there's been times in the past where people can say, well, we don't trust the city. And for good reasons and bad reasons and different reasons, that's so. But I feel, and I am so grateful to have the colleagues that I have on this dais and that I'm sitting with, to share in this work. Now, you have people of action up here. You have people of passion, commitment, and people who aren't about BS. And so, again, I would ask that our community would continue to support what we're doing, and they would trust and give it time to see it unveil and unfold in a way before their eyes where they can then say, wow, they did do something different because that's what they said they were going to do. Now, I've known that, some of the comments that my colleagues have taken over the years and some of the hurtful things that have been said to them and about them comes from a position of somebody's personal opinion. And we're all entitled to that. But if we stand divided and we are critics of each other, we will never move forward united. I'd rather have somebody come to me and help me with the work than to slander my name or talk about me in a way when I did something wrong. Now, I ask the city of Kalamazoo to have grace for one another, to love one another, to care for one another. And like my colleague, Commissioner Hoffman, said, when we make each other the priority, guess what happens? We all become better. And so it's an honor for me to sit and to be able to have this position. I tell friends and families, a guy like me shouldn't be in this position. But for me, the Lord has something for me. And I believe we all can do anything we put our minds to. Literally, I believe that. And if we want to make Kalamazoo a better place, then that means it takes all of us. It takes all of us to leave our egos at the door, our opinions about one another at the door, and unite to make a difference. Because our communities are hurting. They're hurting. I teach my kids, people make bad choices. People aren't bad. Inherently, people are good. But sometimes our circumstance makes us make bad choices. Or choices that are inevitably the ones we have to make because of our circumstance. And I truly believe that Kalamazoo could be a Kalamazoo for all. I truly believe that. And I believe everybody deserves to have an awesome life. And that comes by caring for each other. And so my hope is to not prove to the community that we're about the business, but to show so that they can demonstrate it also. I live by this motto, and it's because of my faith. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. And when we truly think about that, loving our neighbor as we love ourselves, what will we do for our neighbor that we do for ourselves? And so I put that challenge on the community of Kalamazoo to try it. Love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Thank you, Commissioner Juarez. Commissioner Pradel?
Thank you, brother. Appreciate those words. Wanted to just echo City Manager Ritzema and just thank Director Fletcher. You think about in the course of the 9 years in the city and the dramatic change that's happened with our parks, just in right now, transformation in the farmers market, Splash Pad, Lacrone Park, Reed Park, and you can keep going with the list of transformations. Millen Park next year is going to have new playscape. You know, lots of transformation, and not just transformation with just infrastructure in general, but lots of creative, innovative programming that is really unique for our city of size, and especially for as lean of a team is that Sean has led. So just really want to echo it and just give you the props that you deserve, and thank you for your service. It's been a pleasure to work with you and to know you as well. I know Commissioner Hess alluded to this, but if you didn't get a chance to tune in to our COW meeting, the Committee of the Whole meeting before this that started at 5 o'clock, please tune in. The whole topic was on housing. And we had a chance to just hear about the current state, some research that the Upjohn Institute's doing. We got to hear from Continuum of Care, which is working on a comprehensive regional plan for homelessness. We heard from Director Kick in terms of strategies that the city is actually implementing, one of the most aggressive and ambitious budgets and agendas for housing that we've probably ever seen in our city's history. So please check that out if you have a chance. I did have a request to ask administration, Jim, if City Manager Ritzema, I don't know if it'd be possible, or if this would be maybe something from Deputy Clerk Moss, but I just wonder if it'd be possible to get a copy of the sign-in sheet, just so when we are trying to scribble down notes ferociously and if we have anything to follow up with. And then kind of on a segue to that as well, I wonder if there might be an opportunity just to kind of, at some point, just give us some acknowledgement to let us know if somebody's been followed up to who was there for comment. I know you guys do a pretty good job of doing that when there's emails once in a while, but I just always wonder if people have been followed up with, and want to make sure that people at least hear from somebody from the city. I also wanted to just thank the mayor. I noticed you've been kind of intentionally taking a pause after motions to give us a chance to just kind of collect our thoughts for making commissioner comments, and I really appreciate that, because sometimes when you digest a lot of information, it's just helpful to kind of collect yourself for a second. And also, I think we're all very polite people, and I don't think we all want to like jump and be the first in line to talk sometimes, so it's helpful just to give that pause. And then I also wondered, this might already have happened as well, but we received some correspondence from CLS, a company here in town. And then also we heard tonight from a representative from Bell's Brewery about the flat rate and the billing method change for the water rate changes, and I just wonder if somebody from the city has had a chance to follow up with them, or if they do at some point. And then lastly, I don't know about everybody in the audience, but I'm having a really tough time hearing people sometimes. And I know I've got 2 layers of masks on, and I know I need to do a better job of leaning into the mic, but I don't know if there's a way that we can look into that. I know we're having some mic malfunctions just on our side here tonight, and I just want to make sure that, Bill Reeves, who talked about it, I know it is very difficult to hear in the audience, but it's even hard to hear from us sometimes, even from somebody making the comments. And so I just wanted to lift that up as well. But anyways, that's just all I have tonight. I'm so appreciative of everybody who came out tonight to the meeting and shared your thoughts and what's on your heart and mind. And those are tuning in at home, thanks so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Pradel. Commissioner Hess.
Thank you. So Commissioner Juarez, as we love our neighbors, the Metropolitan Kalamazoo NAACP is doing their 2nd annual Black History Community Baby Shower Drive. I just wanted to put that out there. And it's Saturday, February 26th. And on the website, naacpkalamazoo.org/news, you can find a list of items that are being requested for that baby shower for Cradle Kalamazoo. If you don't know, Cradle Kalamazoo is a multi-agency community initiative working to reduce the Black infant mortality rate in Kalamazoo. Their goal is to make sure that babies survive to through their first year of life. Thank you to Cradle Kalamazoo and the NAACP for putting this together. A few other things. Some good news. The last pilot of the Styrofoam project happened on January 29th in a severely cold day. And I'd like to really give a shout out to the folks from the Environmental Concerns Committee and to the folks from Hope for Creation, which staffed that. And honestly, picture a semi-truck that's at Farmer's Market. Picture that semi-truck that was full and overflowing. They had to leave some styrofoam outside of that truck. So the community is catching on to this, and my hope for Creation is that we continue to do that in perpetuity in Kalamazoo until we stop making styrofoam. We had big donors come through. Bell's Brewery, thank you. Was collecting a van load of styrofoam and didn't put that in a landfill. And then Friendship Village came forward too with a large collection. So please know that we're doing that. We will have another collection on April 30th. At Mayor's Riverfront Park from 10 till 1. I too am sad that Sean is leaving Kalamazoo. He's become a good friend and really has Kalamazoo in his heart. And as he alluded to, his last collaboration was with First Tee of Kalamazoo to create the ice golf experience on Woods Lake, which was outside of the box and creative thinking that brought people out and together in the city. Over 150 people came to that event, and it was just people, it was families, and it was a lovely day, even though it was really, really cold. But Sean, also thank you for your initial work with the Youth Development Subcommittee of the Commission and within the city. And we will remember you, and we will work on your behalf as we move forward and respect the youth of this community. And then lastly, I just want to say, especially in these cold times, and as I drive by city workers working on water mains that have broken in freezing weather, as I watch out my comfortable home outside and see the snowplow going by and people working on behalf. I want to say to all of the 674 employees of this city who go to work every day on behalf of the 75,000 citizens, thank you. I have great respect for you and the work you do on behalf of all of us.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Hess. Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I just want to say that I appreciate everyone that came in to talk to us today. Without you guys coming in, either in person or on the phone, we wouldn't hear a lot of issues and concerns that our community has. I think we had a very, very good conversation today around affordable housing. And if I can echo what Commissioner Pradel said, thinking outside of that box. And I do want to give props to the Hope Network, because I did get more information just from that little bit of conversation there. And I think you guys are stepping out of the box. You guys are stepping out of the box to bring something that's new and different to the city of Kalamazoo. And I do agree with Commissioner Juarez that I am hoping that we can get that extra funding for you. We can find it somewhere. I'm pretty sure we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Commissioner Hoffman.
In the interest of time, I'm just going to hold space for us and for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. Vice Mayor Cooney.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to add my thanks to Sean Fletcher for the wonderful job that he did here. He has done his work with creativity, with deep caring, and most of all, with great kindness. Thank you, Sean.
Thanks all. it is indeed a pleasure to serve with this team on this city commission. I really appreciate everyone's input. Finally, we have a closed session to discuss strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of the KP SOA collective bargaining agreement. And the recommended action is a motion to go into closed session. And I just want to remind people, correcting myself, is that we will be coming out of closed session and back into open session, so we will not be adjourning before we go into closed session. So commissioners, the recommended action is a motion to go into closed session. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion made by Commissioner Juarez,
Support.
supported by Vice Mayor Cooney. Clerk Moss, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Juarez,
Yes.
Commissioner Praedel,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooney,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, Commissioner Hess,
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion to go into closed session passes, and we will be coming back out to the dais. Thank you. Hello, everyone. We are back out of closed session, and we have an action that we need to take here in open session. So there is a motion that I will need some action on, and the motion is to approve the contract between the collective bargaining unit that represents the Kalamazoo Public Safety Officers, that's KPSOA, and the City of Kalamazoo. Is that motion good, Attorney Robinson? All right. Do I have support for that? Someone who wants to make that motion?
So moved.
Thank you,
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Decker. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, I guess I would just say I want to thank, I really do want to thank the, what I think was a very robust and productive negotiation process. This isn't something that happens overnight. I want to thank Shelley, our Director of HR. I want to thank the Chief and his team. And I also specifically want to thank the 250 public safety officers who negotiate on, representing their interests as well. So I think we've landed on a good contract here, and I really, really appreciate the work and the participation and the deep passion that everyone involved has for this work and to do it right. Clerk Moss, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Pradle,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooney,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Decker,
Yes.
Commissioner Hess,
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Yes.
Commissioner Juarez.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. I love you, Kalamazoo. We are adjourned.
Okay, we'll be over. We'll be over. Was it Wednesday or Thursday?
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay.
We need to get these board things nailed down.